other than what I read on TMZ, but I'm worried about him. He's a great guy. He's a real classic, old school actor, and it was so cool to be able to work with him in the movie. He'd go out. We shot the movie in Vancouver, actually, and he would go out on the weekends and catch salmon. He'd go out into the mountains, catch salmon, and bring salmon in for the crew and stuff. And really kind of a cool guy,
adventurer.
But I guess I don't think he actually was breaking into the bank.
No, in his defense, the stupid fucking bank looked like a house. It really did. They showed the bank.
It's an old house.
I'd have walked into that.
Yeah, and it even looked kind of like his house. They showed I saw a picture of his.
Except it was like jam-packed with money, which kind of upsets the police when you just walk in.
And he did have a gun, and
but God bless him, man. Breaks in and then falls asleep thinking he's in his house. That's a great story.
He's in rehab now, I think. I think they.
And I say he's too old for that. Don't clean him up.
No. At some point in your life, you just stick with what worked for you.
Yeah.
If you're in your 70s and drinking just works.
How about this? If you're breaking into a bank with a gun and dozing off, it's not working for you. How about that?
All right, Jimmy.
If he tipped a few back and he fell asleep while watching the game, then it's working for you. When you break into a bank with a pistol and fall asleep,
all right, good
time to
point,
make a
Jim.
switch.
Good point.
Let's go to Chris in Denver. Chris.
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. He hears you.
Hey, I was just wondering about the "Where's my dinner bitch" statue.
Is
that something you held on to, or?
Well, my dad pretty much destroyed that the day of. That was probably the bit that sort of ended it with my folks as far as doing the crazy bits anymore. They really put their foot down. We put these statues on the front lawn of them sort of, in sexual positions and all this kind of stuff. And that's the one that I kind of get a little uncomfortable with talking about because, which is why I'll talk about it. But, the thing is because, they really got really mad at that one. I think my mother was really offended by that,
I didn't see that one.
It's a classic Tom Green.
And the thing about that was one of the ones where most of the bits we did, like the Slutmobile was the big one, where we painted their car with the lesbian pornography in the car. They had to take the bus to work and stuff. That we did before we went to MTV, and that was sort of a big deal to us. We'd invested $400 in going to get the guy who did the good airbrushing, and it was a big deal. Then we were on MTV, and we had a budget, so we had $5,000. We got this artist in Ottawa to build these statues out of paper mache and all this stuff, and so I think they sort of felt this sort of coming sort of onslaught of MTV budget pranks getting worse, and they really threatened to sue the show. I've been living in New York for a couple weeks, and we got this voicemail from them, which we played on the show. My father called MTV and he said, "If you air that bit, I'm going to sue you bastards for $1 million." And the thing that was so fun about that bit was it was just sort of such a bizarre whirlwind time. But we were on the air, we were doing all these bits, and my parents weren't going to sign the release form to let us air that particular bit. There it is. There's the statues, and on YouTube. And
what are they doing in the statue?
It's "Where's my dinner, bitch?" And
that's the "Where's my dinner, bitch" statue.
The father has like a rolled up newspaper or a club, and he's going to hit Tom Green's mom.
The next one is the worst one.
What's the next one?
There's
and look, she's all sleepy-eyed and everything. And
I always felt bad for your parents watching your show.
Who's that kicking on your dad?
That's my dad.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with it. Yeah.
But the thing that was crazy about that was, so they weren't going to let that air. That was never going to air, and then somehow, we've been on the air for 2 weeks. Oprah Winfrey was doing a Mother's Day special where she brought on people and their mothers, and somehow she heard about our crazy bits on MTV. Flew me and my mom and dad to Chicago. My parents didn't even really. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that they're upset about.
Explain it, Jimmy. Explain it.
She's bent over with her hands on her legs, and Dad has one arm raised and is giving it to her from the back.
Yeah, the hose running up into my dad's. So the water, but. Which I thought was kind of creative, but they didn't see the. They didn't see the.
They didn't see it that way.
No, the art.
But so Oprah brought us to. This was before this aired, so Oprah hadn't seen this bit. So
okay,
she flew my parents to New York, flew me to New York, and had me come out and apologize for the Slutmobile and for painting their house and doing all these wake-ups in the middle of the night. And she sent my parents to Tahiti on a 3-week cruise.
Wow.
And right after the show, when they found out they got this trip, I whipped out, the release form out of my back pocket.
Could you just sign this, please?
Said, "So come on, Mom, see, Oprah thinks this is funny. This isn't that bad." And they signed it and it aired. And they said, that's got to be the last one ever, though. So.
Wow. That was the last bit you did with your parents?
Well, and then I sort of agreed that I would stop doing anything that involved sort of sex stuff.
Right.
The last one I really did that was sort of a prank actually involved Monica Lewinsky when we brought her up to Ottawa. And I knew that it was time to stop doing the jokes because my parents didn't know I was in town. We barged into my parents' bedroom at 4 a.m. with Monica Lewinsky. And my dad sat up in bed and he said, "Oh, hey, Monica, how you doing?" And it was just sort of completely unfazed, sort of ready for it. And I thought, okay, they're getting too hip. They're getting too hip to this now. It's not funny anymore. So,
and I've seen too many times where other shows that after that have faked it, and it just looks so phony. And
that was the biggest thing that. We had rules on the show. We had rules we never wanted to fake anything. Mm-hmm. We never wanted to put anybody, pretending to react to something.
Yeah.
And we always had to try to sort of find ways to get people to react real, Yeah, there's the Slutmobile right there. I still have the hood. I kept the hood.
Do you?
I have the Slutmobile hood.
And you know what, Tom? With everything that's going on with the internet and stuff, this stuff is not dated. You can watch the Tom Green videos today and still laugh your ass off.
Yeah, that's what's it's actually really an exciting thing that YouTube came to be and all this stuff because all these bits are out there now and
who would have known where you would have been able to see this
it sort of would have just been sort of something that you'd never see again, but now it's sort of at the time we put so much creative energy into this stuff, and this is sort of the Slutmobile sort of a big part of my life in a weird kind of way, because I was inventing something and trying to figure out how to get a job in broadcasting, and it's fun to be able to go back and look at that stuff. So
talking about your show, did you really get pissed off when I think it was the Jackal guy with the chainsaw through your desk? Were you really pissed off at that?
I was, yeah. I was, but it's kind of
because it seems like it would be really tough to really piss you off with all the stunts you've done over the years.
Well, it was TV really pissed off. I mean, I kind of again sort of goes into I have these sort of rules on the show, and I get a lot of shit about that on the web. Actually, people email me and they post under that thing and say, fucking Tom Green, he used to chainsaw shit, and then the guy chainsaws him and he acts like an asshole. But see, the point is it's first of all, when I used to watch David Letterman, and something would go wrong, Crispin Glover would kick him or something would happen.
Yeah.
That was always my favorite part, when something would go wrong. And you'd see something, or when I brought the raccoon on Mike Bullard and he got mad at me. And so here I was in a position where I was on the other side. And there was a bit of a backstory. We'd actually had this desk specially made by MTV after a long battle about the budget, because it cost, we had the LA set designer people, because it's the exact replica of the Johnny Carson Tonight Show desk from his first show in New York. It sort of looks very similar to it. And so it cost $10,000 from one of these set designer things. And they kept saying, why don't you just go buy a desk at the junk shop? And we had this huge argument. This was our second week on the air of this nightly show.
Wow.
And he didn't tell us he was going to do it. And he came out and he started cutting the thing, and I was mad. And I said, well, what would David Letterman do? You know what I mean? Would he pretend it was really funny if somebody was cutting his desk up? No, he'd get pissed off and he'd tell the guy to screw off.
Who's the guy?
He's from this rock band called Jackal, and he plays guitar with a chainsaw attached to it. So the bit was he was just going to come out and play guitar and turn on the chainsaw, and that would be it. But he didn't say that he was going to cut the desk. So he had a reason to have the chainsaw. But I mean, I actually kind of this is one of my favorite moments, from that show, because it is.
It's real.
It is real.
It's a real moment.
It was actually sort of basically was channeling and trying to copy David Letterman basically here. There was this moment where I used to love when I was a kid where he had Harvey Picar on, they did a movie about him a few years ago called American Splendor. He was a guy a cartoon artist, and he had testicular cancer also, and he came on and he said something that pissed off Dave, and Dave sort of kept saying, "Oh, take your little weekly reader, rainy day pamphlet, fun pamphlet for boys and girls thing." So I said all those lines in this to this.